Welcome to our lovely future humans. We're going to have a short. We had some of what I'm going to share with you yesterday's episode, which hasn't gotten any views for some reason. So you might want to check that one out in case you're curious about 5D mystic stories. And for this one, let's begin with I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and I'm a spiritual human being, which means I come with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, because I had good Christian Catholic upbringing. So we're going to go to the past as a teenager, since those of us who don't change, it's because we own the sense of self. Mindful living and a lot of grown-up words and technical verbiage to say just be yourself the smart way. I'm adding to IHP content because apparently, just saying be yourself isn't good enough. No, it's not true. It was good enough for me, and then I found out from Bessel van der Kolk why people don't want to be themselves, because they look outside themselves for help when they get afraid. I have healthy fear, so I don't get afraid the way he talks about, which is why you don't have to talk sense to Maria. As a teenager, I already knew what it meant, death do part, sickness and health, for better, for worse, rich, poor, all that good stuff. And then I found out the hypocrites, all the cloak people who divide people and say that they're still bad Jojo and Juju. So when you meet ignorant human beings, there's a bountiful. They like to use the word bad for everything they don't like. Then they like to use the word good for everything they do like. And when you meet morons, this is the one word I continue to try not to use today, but I'm using it right now to allow myself to ensure that at HP we only have those who don't suffer life. Because God, do you think he picks weak people? I'm going to have to go there right now, because see, weakness means you have no capacity to forgive. Weakness also means you have no capacity to be objectively aware of the fact that every human being is weak, because the bear's going to eat you alive. Nature is scary for those of us who lived in caves, and that's why shame existed. Because when our ancestors kicked each other out from the herd way back when, you'd have to be in this posture. So when scientists explain to you something and the cloak people don't want to accept science, as they say to someone, God doesn't need science. No shit, Sherlock. God's awesome. You, on the other hand, are a moron. Who, though, has morons following you? And again, I am using the word moron because I'm a moron too, with math and depth of perception and a lot more. I'm not a moron on how people work. I'm a people. Oh, I can cry. I just won't make it into the let me become so monstrously and evil to say that you need to get. So, subconscious, people who are ruled by their 14-month-old, which has a teenager. That's why they're not scary to somebody who says, do you think you have morality or integrity? Because I'm pretty sure you're a hypocrite all over the place. And I have my facade friend that I can bring into the mix. The only human being I ever yelled in the face with anger because he betrayed that which is a bond. But see, once you meet one coward and then two cowards, and no, all I needed was my facade friend, and then I got to have another encounter. So you're going to hear stories. All my brothers and sisters are angels. God taught me how to mind my own business, and he continues to chime in my ear and remind me what humility sounds like. And I say, yes, God, I know, don't worry, I'm not better than anybody. I'm actually just the same human being who determined, coming in, Robert Spolsky, for all I know, you're right, because you better bet this person ain't changed one bit. You're out. No, I don't actually have to bother with that anymore because I'm a grown-up. While as a teenager, I learned how to say no to all the insecure, envious, jealous people who, they're not mean. They're pretending to be mean because they're vulnerable, because they're afraid to cry, you see? The bonding stuff. There's a Zen master. He thinks he deserves the title Zen. I think he doesn't deserve the title. Actually, I think he should think about the word Zen and be very much grounded in reality. He doesn't know how to do it yet. But guess what happens when somebody, what was it, Stephen Porges, gets triggered into mobilization, defense, or shutdown, and they're living out their non-metabolized trauma time. So structurally dissociated people. So I learned a lot of science words to say to you, people who don't know how to be themselves. It's like my facade friend. All I asked you was to be yourself. And I'm yelling at him in the car. I waited. See, you get taught by people that are grown-ups. My mother, she taught me, if you can't say something nice, say nothing. And I have a twin, and I and her got to fight like cats and dogs, so I'm the bossy one. I'm still the same bossy one. I just learned how not to engage in any kind of communication at all. There's no negotiation, because in order for me to even bother having a conversation, I need a grown-up in front of me. And by the time you get to be a grown-up like I am, and you notice that most people are living their subconscious, that ain't no grown-up. It's just the same people like my facade friend. So, that being said, liars, there's a bountiful of them. And teenage boyfriend and facade friend, they're the same, basically. The only difference is in one case, I said, really? I actually stared down shame and said, that's unforgivable. And then that's not true. I'm a liar. It is forgivable because I'm not God, and God reminded me about that a lot of ways. And don't worry, God, I know I'm just as crooked as anybody else can be. It's called self-acceptance. So when you can accept that any person who doesn't like you, it's because they're on one other end of the stick, and you really don't give, again, two shits about this, is not because I don't live a according to society. I know what morality and integrity mean, and when I spot hypocrisy, there. That's why I got taught how not to point it out that way, because that's called shame, blame, fault, revenge. I don't need revenge. I actually had my sweet revenge a long time ago. I said, look, God always wins. There's no monster. There's only a bunch of cowards. And when I meet people who are mystics who tell me that it's dangerous, I got a friend of mine who's like, you're dangerous. No, not me. That what I was doing was dangerous. Forgiving people, talking about them like humans. And I said, what is dangerous? I'm looking in your eyes right now. You ain't scary to me. You're a human, aren't you? So when someone's afraid of their brothers and sisters without realizing that most of them are weak ones, because otherwise they wouldn't follow all the morons who are pointing out how amazingly strong they are when they're not. To be strong means you can cry about it, Zen Master, and not have to think, oh my God, I'm so suffering, for all of those who choose not to get out of suffering. I don't suffer for buffoons. That's why God told me not to judge my brothers and sisters. A waste of my fucking time. And when people think that I'm cocky, no, I'm not. I'm just confident. So shame doesn't look good because it doesn't know how to get out of being in that unless they take that shame seriously, heal it, and remember they're just as beautiful as anybody else can be, which is what makes me very, very, very upset with the spiritual bypassers. Because while they're playing monsters by dressing up themselves, they're actually not hearing God saying, hey, get down on the floor, get down on the floor, get down on the floor. You can keep on talking about me, but get down on that floor. So the best ones that you can learn about humility from, Terry Real. He's an awesome therapist who makes real men into real men and real women into real women because he's teaching them how to learn to use their embodied brain. I already know how to use mine, which is why when my friend did what he did, which was not tell me he didn't believe in God, and then have a whole conversation, and in the meantime I'm a mystic who has mystical experiences, twin flames, I got a bunch of shit going down, and you don't bother to tell me, and I'm telling you not secrets, my life, and you didn't respect any of this, and I had told you previously 3 years ago, respect me by beating yourself. So again, this is where I'm not pissed at ignorant human beings. It's more like I'm not going to waste my time telling them that they have shame all over the face of them and that they could go to therapy because it's none of my business. But you better bet when I hear spiritual bypassers continuing to say the light that's going to come in is going to awaken, that's not how ascension works. That's just ridiculous. We're going to talk some more about that in Mystic Stories because I knew that something was off with 4D. I just didn't realize that they're all children living magical thinking, pseudo-liveness, and playing yucky stuff all over the place. Because see, while their child parts were brave, because the body was brave when you were a kid, once you get to become a grown-up and you choose your path, you've committed to being not Lucifer or monsters, no, to being yucky, insecure human beings who have low self-esteem and direct communication, passive-aggressive, don't know how to get anywhere in life, and that's why I can't point it out, because my facade friend, did he get anywhere in life? Well, according to movies, he got to where movies are at. According to me and The Best Life Ever, no, he's actually quite boring because, not securely attached people, they're very boring. Because they don't know how to stay on all the time. When you're always on, it means ventral energy, which is why you can't always be happy. Yeah, actually you can when you enjoy the life that you were gifted because you don't have shame, because there's nothing for me to be ashamed about. When I'm crooked, I'm not crooked. I'm not crooked just because society thinks monoamory or polyamory are better. Yeah, sure, I don't follow morons around because that's exactly what teenagers are. Morons, because they don't do what works. They do what they like, and they put it on a pedestal, and what they don't like they put in the shithole. They just chose to use words of monsters because we didn't have science. Now that we have science, they're still using words the same way. The left brainers, you can always tell when you got a left brainer because there's no heart. That's because they're not strong. As if they were strong, then they would know that left and right work together and that all of humanity works together and that we don't point out the weak ones on purpose because it's none of our business. So empowered people, they don't point out who's weak. We don't have to. Plus, they make up stories in their head to make themselves think they're strong, and then they create groups where they pat each other on the back, and so you allow themselves to, you leave them have a good time while they're just pretending to be grown-ups.